Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, friends. It's time for a little Star Trek The Original Series action as we watch Season 3, Episode 7, Day of the Dove. I'm hoping for a good one, friends. I think it's safe to say that Season 3's been a bit hit or miss, but I'm hoping for a good one. We've had good ones. Perhaps Day of the Dove is one of those. Before we get started, friends, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. It greatly helps out a small channel and it allows me to alert you next time we go live. And of course, if there's anything that we do, the original series included, that you would like early or in its full-length format, the link to our Patreon is in the description. Not a fan of Patreon? Stick with us here on YouTube memberships. You'll get all of our episodes about a day early, plus any bonus episodes we come up with. But my dear friends, all that's then, this is now, and now it's time to watch and journey into the stars with Star Trek, the original series, captained by James T. Kirk, Spock, Plum, and all of the others, as we watch Season 3, Episode 7, Day of the Dove. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction. And away we go! Look at that beauty. Look at that beauty! Everybody's ready. I thought that was the kid for a second. Oh, it's the kid I wanted to see back.
No evidence of a colony nor any residual after effect of a force that might have annihilated it.
They said they were being attacked by an unidentified ship.
Which we were unable to detect upon approach.
An entire human colony.
Eradicated.
100 men, women, and children.
100.
Spock here, Captain. Sensors have picked up a Klingon ship, closing fast.
Ooh, ooh.
Trouble aboard the Klingon ship. Evidence of explosions. Massive destruction.
Oh. She's taking some hits. Something's going on inside there.
Kirk, my ship is disabled. I claim yours. You are now prisoners of the Klingon Empire against which you have committed a wanton act of war.
The hell are you talking about, dude? I think this smudgy fire thing might have something to do with it. Jim's going to tell us about the final frontier as we get into another episode of the original series. Klingons is a good sign because I've always enjoyed their presence. In fact, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The little bit that I've interacted with the Klingons kind of like post the original series, I haven't enjoyed. Now, that's not to say that I won't whenever I kind of have more context and begin to learn more about the Klingons, but I've really enjoyed them in the original series. You know, I often make the comparison that what I've seen in the movies and the Klingons from the original series sort of remind me of the Romulans that I know, you know, tactical, you know, very kind of manipulative and shrewd. I like them quite a bit, though, but they also have some charisma to them that's really interesting. You know, we often have a dynamic that kind of, between Kirk especially, where there's a respect given. But let's get into it and see what this episode has. Day of the Dove. Okay, writer and director. Jerome Bixby. All right. Director. Marvin Chomsky. Okay, I think we're both returning members here.
There was a Federation colony on this planet. It was destroyed.
By what? No bodies, no ruins? A colony of the invisible? You lured my ship into ambush by a false Klingon distress call. You will tell us why with a proper persuasion.
You received.
Come on, you're both smart. You realize you've been drawn here.
I don't propose to spend the rest of my life on this ball of dust arguing your fantasies. The Enterprise is mine.
Really? Well, then we've got a problem.
Go to the devil.
We have no devil, Kirk. But we understand the habits of yours.
Ah, I love the Klingons. The ToS Klingons are so great.
Cossacks!
Chekhov.
You killed my brother, Peter! Yarkani's for a research outpost. 100 peaceful people massacred!
His brother was here?
My brother! You killed my brother!
Volunteered to join him. That is loyalty.
What the hell? Oh, this is good from the jump.
I will kill 100 hostages at the first sign of treachery.
Hmm.
Move aside. Animals.
Plum doesn't give a shit.
A Klingon would never have surrendered. Order everybody in this area to be transported up. All weapons on him.
Pull the trigger then.
Beam up everyone in the target area.
There is a code. Beam them directly to the fucking brig. Oh, did it go up? The rest of them are in space.
Good work, Spock.
What happened?
Our landing party is intact, Doctor.
All others suspended in transit.
Oh, great move. Let's get ready to rock. All facing the wrong way, too. I love it.
Liar!
I said no tricks after we reached the ship. You're a prisoner of the Federation.
You didn't reach it.
Completing the job you started.
You wouldn't be standing here if I had.
Right. Oh, you brought them all over. Nice job.
My wife, Mara, and my science officer.
Interesting.
I've heard of their atrocities, their death camps. They will torture us for our scientific and military information.
Apparently, you have a few things to learn about us.
Few things are wrong in that sentence. Yeah, I got on the show.
Maintain general quarters. Scan this sector for other ships. Run a full check on the colony. I want this thing nailed down fast.
At the moment we received the distress signal from the colony on Beta 12A, the Klingons were too far distant to have been the attackers.
Right, and they got one too.
Also were apparently attracted by a distress call.
No one's noticing this pinwheel of fire and light.
Klingons claim to have honored the truce, but there have been incidents, raids on our outposts.
No proof that the Klingons committed it.
What proof do we need? We know what a Klingon is.
Nice. Why would you bring them over to the ship? I mean, the Klingons aren't stupid. They're going to be able to deduce something's wrong.
4 phases locked and ready to fire, sir. Fire phases.
I'm not sure you had to blow it up, but... What is this thing? Obviously, it's the thing, whatever this is, lured them both here.
When I take the ship, I'll have Kirk's head stuffed and hung on his cabin wall.
Okay. What'd you pick up, Aurora?
Carriers are normal, channels are open, there's still no outside contact.
Whoo! Why are we changing course?
Change of course. Accelerating. Helm dead. Auxiliary navigation dead. Override.
Now we just ride it out. There's nothing you can really do.
New course. 902 Mark 5.
Where the hell are we going?
That'll take us out of the galaxy.
Not again. We were just out of the galaxy.
Emergency bulkheads have closed. Almost 400 crewmen are trapped down there, sir.
Damn, Jim's leaving the bridge.
And before I put you in the brig, there's a little something I owe you.
Oh, what the
Lasers?
Oh boy. Prepare to repel boarders. Any chance this doesn't devolve into a huge fight? No. Man, where is Sulu when you need him? Oh, Johnson was hit. Come on. Lock down the deck. He took it right in the chest, too. Jeez, oh, Pete.
The doors and bulkheads won't budge. We'll have to cut through.
Blow out the bulkheads if you have to. We need numbers.
Yeah, cut through.
Ship speed.
No, sir. She's a projectile at warp 9.
She's a projectile. Can't control itself. Warp 9.
However, if they had such power, would they not have used it to create more effective weapons? And only for themselves?
Get below. Take command of engineering and auxiliary control. Aye, sir.
Captain?
Check out.
Yeah, get Sulu out in the pattern.
I've got a personal score to settle with the Klingons.
This is no time for a vendetta. Maintain your post.
Captain,
Back off, maintain your post.
don't try to stop me, Captain.
What?
Oh, what they left of Piotr. I swore on his grave I would avenge his murder.
You didn't see anybody check off.
His only brother killed in a Klingon raid.
His brother? He never had a brother. He's an only child.
I will cross off brother. I was very excited. I thought Chekhov had a sibling out there.
Now he wants revenge for a non-existent loss.
Yeah, somebody wants to see like revenge, aggression. Nice job, Plum.
Filthy butchers. There are rules, even in war. You don't keep hacking at a man after he's down.
You're gonna be busy, Bones. I like this episode. It's a cool episode.
Of the
Oh, look at that.
Enterprise, Commander.
Enemy numbers are the same as ours. We have a fighting balance.
Then we take this ship. We must take these sections. First, engineering.
Kirk here.
They're coming, Scotty.
What about the armory?
Well, I'm there now, sir. And you never saw such a fine collection of antiques in your life.
Get the sharpest ones. A claymore.
You're a beauty.
Scans indicate that our forces and those of the Klingons are exactly equal at 38 each.
It's like a strategy game.
Signs of those devils, Mr. Super.
All clear, Mrs. Scott.
I'm not a big combat guy, but I'd love to see Sulu in action. We haven't seen that for quite some time. Ooh, good stunt. Come on, Scotty. Oh, Jesus. Oh, good move. Good move. That guy hiding back against the wall. Oh, and then Sulu. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I love it.
Klingons are around, but we'll split up here and try to make it back to the bridge. Aye.
Guy looks like my buddy that hit on the wall. These are all engineers, bud. I mean, they weren't... No disrespect to engineers. They were doing their jobs when you showed up.
A single entity cannot ascertain its location.
Alien life force.
Actions indicate intelligence and purpose.
What purpose?
Insufficient data for further analysis.
What do you think, Spock? Best guess.
A brother that never existed. A phantom colony. Imaginary distress calls. The creation of these weapons. Do you sense a pattern?
Instigation. They're trying to promote violence.
We must keep the king. Bury the hatchet.
An appropriate choice of terms, Captain.
Bruce, are you serious? I've got men in sickbay.
Yeah, there's like wild, kind of like a ruthless aggression type of thing going on right now.
And you know what Klingons do to prisoners. Slave labor, death planet.
There is an alien on board which may have created this situation.
Who cares what started it, Mr. Speak? We're in it. We should wipe out every one of them.
DeForest Kelly's so good.
How many more men must die before you two begin to act like military men?
We're just not going to talk about that.
Gang,
Hey, Kang.
I have captured the engineering section. Now control the ship power and life support system.
Cool. Turn off the ship.
Die. The icy cold of space.
Awesome, Kang. Thanks. Look at that beauty hauling ass.
You've jeopardized the Federation!
Got
Keep your Vulcan hands off me!
Keep your Vulcan.
Your feelings might be hurt, you green-blooded half-breed!
Damn.
Selma,
Spock's
What? You half human?
Spock, we need you, bud.
A result of stress?
We've been under stress before. It's never set us at each other's throats.
No. You're being instigated.
We've been trained to fight its causes if necessary. And why are we behaving like a group of savages?
Yeah, Jim. Cool shot.
Has a war been staged for us? Complete with weapons and ideology?
You're a lab experiment.
Apparently, it is by design that we fight.
Hell yeah.
But what's the game? And whose? And what are the rules?
Let's hope the game isn't war and the rules are attrition.
Without sensors? All our power down?
I like Scotty's new haircut, by the way. I didn't mention it.
Power and life support restored. Remotes on standby.
How's that?
Their life support systems have resumed.
They want to see a fight. They don't want to see you suffocate the enemy.
Also unable to affect ship's course for return to our empire.
One of Kirk's tricks.
Come on, Kang, think, buddy.
Interrupted at their main life support couplings. Where?
Number 6 deck. Come.
No, I thought he was going to go. He's like, nope. Go ahead, wife. Go out to the front lines.
Alien detected in the engineering section near reactor number 3.
It was goofing with the reactor on the Klingon ship, too. The radiation levels, right? Wasn't that from the reactor? Chekhov, I hope you know how to use that sword, because you're going to need to. Terrible time for a sneeze. Come on. He just stabbed that guy in the back, didn't he? Whew. Walter playing creepy really well. I thought he was setting him up to pinch him, like straightening him up. Appeal to her.
Take me to Kang. A temporary truce, that's all I ask.
Come on, kid. Bill Shatner must have been strong as an ox, because, I mean, I've seen him do, like, feats of strength for somebody, you know, his size. It's crazy.
Johnson's heart wound is almost completely healed. The same with the other casualties.
It would appear that the entity wants us alive.
Why?
Eternal fight?
Perhaps human and Klingon psychologies and combat capabilities are being tested.
Gentlemen, if we are pawns, you're looking at one who is extremely sorry.
I understand, Doctor. I, too, felt a brief surge of racial bigotry. Most distasteful.
So is Johnson going to be, like, bloodlusty now?
Reporting for duty, sir.
Oh, hi, Johnson.
Kill the Klingons! Never us, isn't it?
It's so casual. Spock just...
During Lieutenant Johnson's emotional outburst, his expression of hatred and lust for vengeance, the alien's life energy level increased.
It feeds on aggression?
It exists on the hate of others.
To put it simply. Then all hostile attitudes on board must be eliminated. The fighting must end. And soon.
Or we're a doomed ship.
This is like the end of Ghostbusters 2.
We've got to pool our knowledge and get rid of this thing.
We gotta have a dance. I'm still thinking about Jim carrying around Walter.
Scotty, sir. The ship's dilithium crystals are deteriorating. We can't stop the process.
Oh, great.
Do whatever you can. Clear out.
That's the best order Jim's given all day. Listen, Scotty, I don't know the ins and outs of all this, but if there's anything you can do, do it.
Perhaps a threat.
Aye. Now that's something the Klingons would understand.
No. That's what they want. It'll result in bloodshed.
Talk truce now, or she dies for blood.
I don't like that ultimatum.
He is a victim of war, Captain.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was going to work.
You're not going...
The Federation doesn't kill or mistreat its prisoners. You've been listening to propaganda fables. How much time?
How much time?
So this was no trick.
No!
We must push outward if we are to survive.
There's another way to survive. Mutual trust and help.
Work together.
I will take you to Kang. I will add my voice to yours.
I wouldn't trust her, Captain.
Scotty.
Intra-ship beaming. From one section to another, it's possible.
It has rarely been done because of the danger involved.
She may be leading you into a trap.
We're all in a trap. This is the only way out.
We'll go with you.
No.
Can't risk that many people. Not to mention you're traveling at warp 9 plus at this point, right? It's still traveling at warp, right? Until the dilithium's gone, I suppose.
But she can't guarantee that Kang will stop to listen.
No, neither does Captain Kirk.
I hope your computations are correct, Mr. Spock.
You will know in 7.9 seconds, Captain.
We'll know in 7.9 seconds, Jim.
Kang, wait. He's come alone, unarmed. He must talk to you.
Brave Captain. What about?
No! Listen to him.
Maybe point and say that thing.
Before you start killing, give me 1 minute.
Kang,
1 minute, dude.
listen to him.
We don't have time for this, guys.
Have any more of your men died? Can't be killed. There's an alien aboard.
It wants us fighting. You're giving it exactly what it wants. Oh, God. Where the hell is Sulu?
1,000 lifetimes. Senseless violence. Fighting. While an alien has total control over us.
I mean, I don't know how peace is supposed to erupt here in the next couple of seconds.
Some thing sits back and laughs. And starts it all over again.
Those who hate and fight must stop themselves, Doctor. Otherwise, it is not stopped.
Nice.
Listen to Kirk. He is telling the truth.
Be a pawn. Be a toy. Be a good soldier that never questions orders.
He sees it now.
Guns kill for their own purposes. All fighting must end, Captain, to weaken the alien before our dilithium crystals are gone.
Man, as far as peace accords, this could go a huge way with relations.
This is Kang. Cease hostilities. Disarm.
ASAFP.
Get off my ship. You're a dead duck here. You're powerless. We know about you.
You're a dead duck.
Out! We need no urging to hate humans. To the present, only a fool fights in a burning house. Out!
Oh, I like that. Only a fool fights in a burning house.
Ah!
He gets ready to backhand him.
Ah!
There it goes. There it goes. Oh, that's the end? Oh, man. I dug that one quite a bit. Really cool little romp there. All right, everybody, we just got done watching Season 3, Episode 7, Day of the Dove, and the only thing left to do is talk about it. All right, everybody, we just got done watching the 7th episode of the 3rd season of Star Trek, the original series, Day of the Dove. I thought this one was a really fun episode, simply because, I mean, obviously, I'm a really big fan of the Klingons from ToS era. I think that they were really cool. I thought Kang was a great adversary. You know, I thought the Morrow was a really cool addition, you know, seeing have a science officer that's also your wife. That's a really cool dynamic that that's interesting to me. That's something that I'd like to see explored, actually, because I think that speaks of almost like a Lost in Space type of vibe where everybody's kind of like a family, you know. I think it's interesting, a really cool thing, a really cool kind of little glimpse too into at least the earlier thoughts that they had about the Klingons, you know. I really like that because a lot of you have said, you know, especially with the Romulans and the Klingons, not everything has been established yet. You know, they really haven't had a chance to really kind of flesh out, put the meat on the bones of both of those, both the Romulans and the Klingons. So, I take everything with a grain of salt, because you also have told me that, some things kind of get forgotten and not really kind of addressed anymore. So when I see stuff like this, I really just get intrigued by it. I like it because, one, it's a possibility, and two, it's a glimpse into that thought process. Maybe we should make the Klingons have, their spouse could be the science officer. That's a really cool kind of like, just spitballing things to do with the Klingons. That one's a good one. Now, with all that being said, I think the setup for it was very good too. We were brought in immediately with a distress call, all of which turned out to be phony. The colony, everything was a manipulation of both, memory, mind, whatever it would happen to be. We did experience, I would assume that physically, the one thing that actually did kind of as a takeaway for all of this, we lost potentially casualties on the Klingon ship and the ship itself. But with all of that being said, especially with the influence of an alien species and not a direct, Federation plot or anything like that. Just even by the body language at the end between Kirk and Kang, is this going to heal the wounds between these two nations? Absolutely not. But at the same time, it's these little kind of like micro meetings between, because we're still going by the idea, both sides of like this weird, like Jim said, it's a propaganda that you've been believing. It's not, we don't take prisoners. We don't, do all of these things as far as like, we're not going to kill you or, do all this stuff. We treat our prisoners humanely. And that seemed to be a shock to both sides, And by both sides, I mean the shock being that, Mara was surprised by, but at the same time, I think that, we had the same idea, death camps, death planets, I think is what they said. And the funny thing is, I remember from the movies, was it Rodapente? Wasn't that like their penal planet, like that snowy area? It was Undiscovered Country, I think that one was in. I've seen Undiscovered Country a couple times. All the other ones won, and countless Wrath of Khan viewings, which, as a bit of an aside right now, since this has provided an opportunity for me to say this, I have been getting a feeling of growing dread. Now, let me explain. As I've said, I've seen all of the movies with the exception of one of the Next Generation movies, the one with F. Murray Abraham, and I don't know which one that is. And I haven't seen the motion picture, so I haven't seen like Star Trek 1, but I've seen the rest of them, and I've seen Wrath of Khan quite a bit, and I love that movie. And, even without the context of watching the original series, as a kid growing up, I just liked it for the standalone movie that I believed it to be. I didn't know anything about Spock or Kirk, but I saw that movie and I thought, oh my gosh, I love these guys, and Spock and Kirk are, best friends and best buds and all this stuff. I'm going into this now with so much more context, and I'm going to watch all the movies again, all the movies again for Star Trek, and as I get to them, and I am dreading watching Wrath of Khan now, and for this reason, I mean, full disclosure, I would get super emotional watching Wrath of Khan every time I watched it, every single time, but I've never ever watched it with the context that I have now. I never have watched it knowing just how much this crew cares for one another, what they've been through, the adventures, the love that they feel for one another, the camaraderie. I've never gone and watched that movie with that. And I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, emotionally, I am dreading it. And then I know everything that happens in that movie, but I never knew the movie or the characters in it until now. Tangent over. Back to Day of the Dove. This is, I wish this is like I don't want to call it a simple episode because it's not. There was get a lot of people in here, a lot of choreography for fights, a lot of extras, a lot of things that could go wrong. You had to make sure that you had the shots lined up. You couldn't repeat them. When you have all these moving parts, one of the parts could move out of the way. That's always the way it usually works. So, you have more opportunity for a failed shot than you do with a limited number of, objects that you're filming, whether they be, just props or scene setting or, characters in question. The more you add, the more potential for scene failure that you have. But with this one, I thought that, and again, that's why I don't say it's simple, but it's a cool premise that it was executed very well. We had a lot of really cool interactions, a lot of really cool work that the crew got to do. Walter got to, put on basically a tour de force. We got a lot of George's Sulu, a lot of, Sulu didn't fall prey to any of this stuff necessarily. I would have loved to have seen Sulu really be able to flex and, show off the fencing and things like that. It was the perfect opportunity for that. And in my opinion, a missed opportunity. You didn't have to have a serialized kind of narrative to be able to at least put that foil in his hand and just let him go to work. That would have been really, really cool. But I think it's a testament to the characters, and anytime that we kind of fold in as many characters and crewmen as we can, and put into this particular situation, it plays upon dynamics. It plays upon the past instances that we know about these characters, where you don't have to necessarily have the serialized knowledge, but we see them evolve a bit, throughout the course of these seasons, and in some instances devolve, where maybe more rational heads would have prevailed at some point. I think of Scotty a lot. Scotty tends to kind of really turn on the emotion, really get hot-headed a lot quicker now than he used to. But it's still, if that's part of his, what they want him to be, what they wanted Scotty to be all along, then I'm totally down. It doesn't detract anything from me. In this episode in particular, but you could have obviously kind of pushed that towards the idea that he was being manipulated by the entity. I like the fact that we didn't have an entity that talked. I really do. I like the idea that we didn't have an entity that tried to communicate terms. That we had an entity that was kind of, playing its own mind games via communication with both sides. This was a truly alien experience. It's almost like you met a fish in the ocean that the fish just really liked the algae or the stuff that you're putting off in the form of aggression. And, it knows how to manipulate that from these organisms that are in front of it. It's very alien. It's very outside of what we normally have, where we have some type of pontificating, apparition that's kind of giving us, and I don't want to, we've had good and bad versions of that. You can say Trelane was, an absolutely awesome version of that. And then, of course, we had Gorgon, who was not. But I digress, but we've had a lot of the same things like that. But this is one of those rare instances where the alien or the adversary remains silent, other than the sounds that they make that are, unintelligible as far as language. Maybe it was speaking, but we couldn't make it out. But I just think that that's a really cool and what should be a more frequent thing that happens to an exploring starship. Anyway, friends, I thought it was a great episode. One of my favorites from season 3. So you know what? A good day on the bridge of the Enterprise, friends. Greetings and salutations, my friends. 'Tis I, leader of men, lover of women, and best friend to Jim Kirk, General Trelane, retired. Friends, this is where, after having watched and reacted to an original series episode, I like to dig a little bit deeper and find out what went on behind the cameras. But to keep myself from wandering off into the weeds for a couple hours, I've given myself 5 categories to explore. The first of which, writer and director. Who were they? The second, guest stars. Did we have any? The third, of the core cast, or the big 8, who was available? And the fourth and spiciest of the categories, the production notes. What went on behind the cameras? And last but certainly not least, our 5th category, a memorable quote from this episode. My dear friends, let's get started. All right, my dear friends, and for our very first category, writer and director, who were they? Well, we had some returning champions here in both categories, as our writer for this episode was Jerome Bixby, who prior credits included By Any Other Name and the classic Mirror Mirror. I do believe Day of the Dove is worthy of his credits so far, so yet another feather in the cap for Mr. Bixby. Now, who was our director? Another returning champion for the original series, as Marvin Chomsky directed Day of the Dove. Now, his prior directorial debut with the original series was And the Children Shall Lead. again, I wasn't a huge fan of And the Children Shall Lead, but Day of the Dove was excellent. And I think it goes to show what a different script can do to positively or negatively help a director or a cast. In this one, Mr. Chomsky was able to deliver with multiple fight choreography scenes, a huge cast of Klingons and security officers. It was a lot was asked of him in this episode, and he delivered, my friends. Kudos all around to both writer and director. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our second category, guest stars. Did we have any? Yes, we did. We had 3, actually. Susan Howard as Mara. We had Michael and Sarah as Kang. And I added in David Ross as Johnson because that little, heel turn that he took after being wounded, I thought was very well done. Friends, let's move on. And now for our third category of the core cast, or the Big 8, who was present. Well, who are the Big 8? We have Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Sulu, Scotty, Uhura, and we have Chapel, and we have Chekhov. So this is an interesting one, my friends. Was everybody in this episode? Yes. Did we see everybody? Nope. Because Majel Barrett was actually the voice of the computer and did not reprise her role as Christine Chapel in this episode. So did we have the Big 8? Sorta. Let's move on. All right, my dear friends, and now for our fourth category, production notes. Usually the spiciest of all of the categories, because this explains to us the story that went on behind the camera. And as we've often said, sometimes that story, more often than not in season 3, may be just as entertaining as the story they put in front of the camera. Let's get started. Now, friends, for our very first production note, I love little facts like this. And again, I think it goes back to our original conversation we had with the writer and director section, as Marvin Chomsky has one of the rarefied air in directors. And how did he achieve this rarefied air? Well, he completed filming of Day of the Dove in 5.5 days. My friends, that had only ever been done before. If you remember, we used it before with Mark Daniels when he shot The Menagerie. He did so in 5.5 days to actually benefit. At that time, Daniels did that to catch up the production schedule and was able to buy them a full day, because a half day is actually credited different. So he was able to jump ahead, and I think that is why Mark Daniels was brought back as often as he was, because he was able to do this. And I say this for Marvin Chomsky because, again, I was not a huge fan of And the Children Shall Lead, his first directorial effort, but I thought Day of the Dove was exceptional for both his work and the time that he was able to. 5.5 days? Think of all that choreography, all of that fighting, all of those different locations inside the Enterprise, some of them needing to be redressed in between different scenes and different shoots. Exceptionally well done, Mr. Chomsky. A tip of the old cap. Let's move on. And now for our second of the production notes, my friends, and this one deals with the intra-ship beaming, which becomes known, and I've seen this in the movies, like a site-to-site transport. This was the very first and only time we would see this happen in the original series. As I speculated during the reaction, there's a lot of moving parts that go into both site-to-site transports because there's no pad. I didn't know this, but when I read through it, it said the pad really helps to kind of narrow the beam and do all this capture people that are coming through. So site-to-site requires an exceptional operator and very, very good circumstances to do it, at least in the original series era. We'll have to see how that either, I'm assuming it gets easier going forward, but we'll take note of it as we get into those different properties. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our third production note, and I think this one is very interesting because if this was presented to me 100 times, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. But this is a very interesting one because when the entity exits the Enterprise, it does so from a very specific section of the exterior hull. We see it kind of emerge. That now becomes canonically the location of main engineering, which I thought was really, really cool because, again, I just wouldn't have picked up on that. I mean, I would have guessed that engineering was somewhere around there, but I would never have made the connection that, oh, when it left the ship, it left through engineering. Friends, that's why we do those Q&As. Let's move on. And now, my friends, for our fourth production note, a pretty short one, but I think it's a notable one nonetheless. Day of the Dove was originally titled and actually had a working title that was quite different from Day of the Dove up until the week the week of shooting, which they changed to Day of the Dove. But before that, it was known as For They Shall Inherit, which I'm assuming means, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed be the peacemakers, peacekeepers, something like that. It's one of the Beatitudes in the Bible. So I thought that was very interesting. And I'm not sure which works better, but I think I like Day of the Dove more. I think it's more of a leading title if you say For They Shall Inherit. But potato. It was great nonetheless. Let's move on. And now, my friends, for our final production note, and this one's very sad. While I very, very much like the character of Kang, I thought Kang was exceptional. Again, a little tangent here. I absolutely love the ToS Klingons. By far my favorite version that I've experienced, which is, albeit incredibly narrow, but I just really, really love them. Every example we've had of an original series Klingon is somebody that I've come to love that guest star and the character they portray. But when I found out that originally Kang was going to be played by John Colicos, his core from Errand of Mercy, oh my gosh, the Klingon core returning would have been super duper cool, just for continuity's sake. We've only ever had Mud return, and I would really have liked to have seen that. Oh my gosh, some just a little bit of serialization in between the episodic, plus that character was badass. But still, we got Kang, who was equally as cool. I thought, well, I'd probably give the edge to core, but Kang was cool too. Let's move on. And now for our fifth and final category, my friends, a memorable quote from this episode. Well, I decided to actually use two because I thought two flavored Day of the Dove the best. The first comes from Kang. Out! We need no urging to hate humans, but for the present, only a fool fights in a burning house. I thought that was really, really cool. Almost like a Klingon proverb, like translation type of thing. Really, really cool. And the second one comes from Spock. Those who hate and fight must stop themselves, Doctor. Otherwise, it is not stopped. Thus ends another installment of Q&A. Until such time as you and I can get together and play with our dear friend Jim, behave yourselves.